Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Hey, happy Tuesday and welcome to the Social! You know her, you love her. Comedian Elvira Kurt is our guest co-host. And we are so excited to have him here for the first time. Broadcaster, writer, commentator, Elamin Abdel Mahmoud joins us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Elamin, what happened?
Okay, so I scooted in.
You scooted in?
Because I like attention. And so it's the most dramatic way to enter a room.
Right.
You really got to try it.
Yes, you do.
I fell at my friend's cottage. And I broke my ankle. Can I get the sympathy every time I say anything? And I had surgery. Perfect. And so we're recovering. So we're getting there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're mobile. It's a sweet-looking ride.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's very lovely welcome, you guys. Thank you for coming. It's very nice. Thank you.
We have a great
Thank you.
audience. We do.
Thank you.
Okay, well, listen, you're all very, very joyful. And boy, oh boy, finally, we are seeing some rare images of joy after a ceasefire deal was finalized, or at least signed. We saw and continue to see images like this, where Israelis are celebrating the return of the last 20 living hostages. Palestinians are welcoming nearly 2,000 free detainees. And although there is a whole lot of uncertainty when it comes to, hey, what is next, amid unresolved issues like Hamas disarmament and also Gaza governance, we're going to start with you, Elamin. The question we want to really kind of ponder today is, are you hopeful right now?
An easy question. Thank you for that. I honestly I think of hope as a political thing. I hope as a very particular thing. To me, hope is a long-term process. You know, my dear friend. Well, look, my dear friend Omar Alekad wrote this book that came out earlier this year that said, "One day everyone will have always been against this." And what he was writing about, at the very start of the war, was talking about seeing the cities and so much destruction in Gaza, and saying at a certain point, the public opinion will boomerang around to say so many people who have always been against this. And you're kind of seeing that now. You're seeing more people care about the Palestinian cause than they have before. And that is a reason for hope for me. But it also has arrived kind of later than I thought it would. I think some of the images of destruction, they've been around for some time. So to start to see people kind of get on board and care now, I'm really grateful for that. I was hopeful watching those images, but also at the same time, I can't help but think of Omar's words in the book that he wrote that came out earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anybody else hopeful-ish? Hopeful?
I mean, of course. I think you'd have to have a stone heart not to see some of those images of the hostages returning home and the Gazans being reunited with people who were imprisoned as well as other family members. Of course it's emotional, and of course there's a glimmer of hope. I can't help but, we have to acknowledge this deal is precarious. Even just now, just before we came to air, there was reports of at least 9 people being killed by Israeli fire. Israel has also accused Hamas of reneging on the plan that was agreed by not returning all of the bodies home. And as a result, they've closed one of the passages. So this is really complicated and tenuous. So I think also what I'm struck by, maybe this is also echoing some of what you're saying, is I think we all need time to mourn the fact that this took 2 years to even come to this. Why did it take so long to make a deal? Why is it? And then the Trump is taking all of the credit for this. It makes me wonder, what kind of a deal actually has been struck? And maybe we're not going to know.
And to that point, the fundamentals of the deal that was just struck is basically the same deal as what was on the table November 2023.
So how many lives could have been saved, right?
Tens of thousands of people. Tens of thousands of Palestinians who died in a bombing campaign that was relentless as we kept on watching it happen and happen. Right. And then we kind of arrive at this point and say, okay, that's basically the same deal that was on the table in 2023. It's really startling.
Mm-hmm. Are you hopeful?
No, well, that's what tempers it for me. Just that there's, it's not so much the uncertainty, which is a big part of it, but it's also this feeling that just, I can't, it's not, I don't know if it's real, but just this sensation that we're not hearing everything. And so my hopefulness is embracing myself. I mean, I'm Hungarian, so we don't really do optimism. or joy.
What do you do?
So, but it's just like a suspicion. Like, what else is going on? What are the hidden costs that we don't know about? Like, you know, when you see Jared Kushner in there, like he just looks like Voldemort before he's reformed. Like something hinky is going on underneath. Like there's some, I don't.
Does Voldemort reform in the book? Was there an eighth book?
Reform into his
I see
full
what you're
self.
saying.
Like,
yeah.
So there's, I worry that what is happening is the people in power are somehow profiting for this, or it's to their benefit, and that what still isn't being centered or prioritized is humanity. Like I would love, for me to feel hopeful, is for world leaders to just say, you know what, we have really gotten this wrong. We are not into money, power, oil, land, and we really are just going to focus back on the people and build them up. And to hear myself say it, it's like somehow abundance is an impossible idea, but scarcity is like, okay, let's just do that. Let's always feel like we need to pit people against each other.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. The sad part for me is, I will say this, I am actually hopeful. I know it's a long shot. A lot of it is a long shot right now. But here's the thing, for me, it's actually the opposite. I'm hopeful for the same and different reason than you are, Elvira, because I know that politicians are not doing it to save humanity, because it would have never gone on for 2 years. This has never actually been about humanity. And I actually think, I'm gonna say something wild here, but I actually think one of the reasons I'm very hopeful is two things. Number one, you actually saw joy and jubilation on both sides of the border, both in Palestine and in Israel. People are celebrating, and that in and of itself is something so powerful. There's been so much death and destruction and suffering, and people are done with it. We're done with it, they're done with it. So something makes me feel like, okay, there's hope there, but more cynically, you know what Trump really likes more than Trump? Money. And he keeps saying the same thing over and over again. It is time for peace and prosperity in the Middle East. What Trump, I think, is his ego really thrives on is being known as the deal maker. So he's gone in there and said, guys, I struck up a deal. There's peace in the Middle East, because he wants to make deals, I think, with all of the Arab nations that have come to the table, like Egypt and Turkey. He wants normalized relations.
Did you start by saying you're more hopeful? Like that's the...
I know, because his ego doesn't want this to fail.
Okay.
I think Trump's ego wants this to succeed, and not because he cares about people, but because he cares about money and deals being made in the Middle East.
That still feels... But that still feels like when that is your priority, to me, it just feels like, well, that is easy to break apart or fall down, or to have somebody...
It feels precarious, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
precarious.
And I will say that, like, the B-roll that you rolled off the top, which was wonderful, like, one of the rare things that you saw in there is Palestinian joy. That's a thing that you've not seen for some time. And like that's been a deliberate thing. It's been a deliberate thing because like we've seen the reports of Israel saying like, hey, when families are reunited, there shouldn't be cameras allowed. These celebrations should not be sort of present to public. That's the thing that has shifted. That's the thing that's like new and has changed. And so to even just see images of Palestinian joy, that's new to me. I'll take that hope.
Sure.
You know?
You'll take that hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it sure looks like Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry are dating. You saw the pics. The two were photographed hugging and kissing on Katy's yacht. She has a yacht. Anyway, you can check out the photos online. I think we're all feeling all sorts of feels about this since the two were spotted dining out in Montreal. How do you think this impacts Trudeau's brand?
Oh, how do I think it impacts Trudeau's brand? Listen, I think if you never liked Trudeau, you're not going to like him even more. And if you do like him, then you're going to be happy for him. I think, listen, he's still a young guy. I think he's all of 53.
Right.
He served this country. Again, you don't have to be a fan of his. He served this country for well over a decade, even before that as an MP. He has done his time. If he wants to get his makeout on with a pop star, to me, I just think he's not hurting anybody. He's done his time. You know, if you have flags around this country that say F your last name, you know, that hurts a little bit, I'm sure. So if this is what it's going to take for you to come back, he loves love, and you know what? I love love, so go for it.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
This room felt like a house divided a minute
Yes,
ago.
correct, correct.
That's
To me,
very
like,
generous.
the leaves are falling and it's sweater weather and there's a Trudeau in the tabloids. That, to me, is like everything is right with the world. We've never been more back. This is a family that has been socially engineered for the tabloids. They have a deep, long history of, just being in the tabloids. And also, at the same time, I don't look at Justin Trudeau and say, this contradicts everything I know about you. I don't think that's
it's
the
on
case.
brand.
It's on brand, and I will say these photos are a little different in the sense that, like, in Montreal, it's like a little easy to spot them. You want to be spotted. They're on a yacht. They're having a nice time.
So you feel like they weren't intending on necessarily, as if you don't know, though, that the paparazzi is following.
I think those photos are a little more grainy than usual.
Okay. So you feel like it was a long
I think it was an overreach.
Wasn't it? If I could be wrong, but I had read that those pictures were captured by like a tour boat that was going by them, and someone happened to capture it, and then that photo was sold to the paparazzi.
I don't
That's
know.
not even a paparazzi.
I mean,
they
I
really
feel
didn't
like-
want to be caught.
I don't think they did. I think if they did, they would have been in Montreal, dining out for everybody. to take
Sure.
photos of them.
If you, and certainly if you knew you were going to be on camera, you wouldn't be wearing jeans on a yacht.
You didn't like that?
Well,
It was
did he
so
look
weird.
like he was rescued at sea?
Yeah, it was a really strange choice.
It's Castaway. That's a yes.
It was a really strange choice. I don't know. Even if it wasn't intended and they didn't intend to be caught, I just can't help but feel like, what are the exes feeling like right now? Like, I don't know. Orlando Bloom apparently maybe has a bit of a sense of humor because the satirical website The Onion, they posted an AI-generated picture that had the headline, Orlando Bloom spotted at a dinner with Angela Merkel. And then, and then the article, again, a fake article, it said, she's a huge fan of Pirates of the Caribbean and he's super into the German economy.
Oh, my
Anyway, it was a spoof on it and he apparently liked it. So I don't know. But if I'm Sophie, like you've got kids, and what if the kids, I think the kids are fans of Katy Perry. It gets weird, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. But listen, when you talk about brand, like, Katy Perry, she's like a world famous pop star, but she's had a hard go recently. So her brand needs a little bit of uplifting.
She's had a hard go?
Yes, she has.
Yes, the tour was not.
The tour was not great.
Oh,
The album was not
album.
great.
The album was.
And then she also did that rocket into space. Let's put the ass in astronaut.
I think she might be the first person that
Not
people
a
got
good look.
mad at for going to space. Like, I don't think
Sure.
anybody else
Not a
has
good
had
look.
that. No.
Not a
but-
good look. There's something about both of them that is a little bit off-putting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I look at photos of them and I want to feel joy. Again, remember, I'm Hungarian, but there's something like slimy or a lingering smell. Like my eyeballs feel slimy after I've looked at the photos.
do you think
like,
that is?
"Ugh."
Why?
I don't know. They're not elevating each other. Like, if she were with like Keanu Reeves or Bradley Cooper, like he's bringing her up, and then he needs somebody not
Amal Clooney, maybe? Without
Amal
being
Clooney,
married.
yes.
All right, well,
Okay, so someone singing like Belinda Carlisle of the Go-Go's, that would bring him
Oh,
up. Kelly
okay.
Clarkson. These are people whose reputation is better.
All right.
Like the optics are better.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to a different couple that I'm sure you're going to have feelings
I still
about.
have more suggestions.
It is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Have you heard of them? Have you known these two are together?
Yeah.
So it turns out Travis Kelce not only left a mark on Taylor Swift's heart, but also on her album covers because some Swifties are reportedly received CD versions of The Life of a Showgirl that featured not only Taylor's signature, but her fiance's signature too. And people had a lot of feelings about this. So there's a lot of songs that are about Travis, so does it make some sense to have him included in this way?
I don't know.
What? Half the room's like Justin Trudeau, maybe. Taylor Swift, no.
Well, you know what? Because I think what this shows is that she truly is just like us. She's a woman who's smart in business, dumb in love. Like, why? Why?
How is she dumb in love?
She's not thinking long term. Like, trust me, I guarantee you, 60-year-old Taylor Swift is going to have some thoughts about what she's doing.
She's calling
now.
you right now. She's calling you right now.
Yeah, she's mad.
Tell her I'm not answering the phone.
The thing, listen, I heard through the grapevine, Elamine, that you are a massive Swiftie. Is this true?
Yeah, and Massive doesn't actually begin to cover it. First of all, lifelong Swiftie, been here since album 1.
Whoa.
So all you new people, I don't trust all of you. Everyone was like, oh, I love folklore. Like, no, you're new, and I don't trust you. But I will say that,
Wow.
like, this story to me is a perfect example of how she's become a referendum on literally everything. I mean, one can imagine very easily the idea of, like, Taylor and Travis. She's citing CD inserts. By the way, that record sold 4 million copies. The most in 1 week, more than anybody else. And then, like, Travis is like, babe, I'm bored. Babe, I don't have practice today.
See?
That's my best impression. And then he just like signs a couple, and then suddenly it's a viral story. Whereas like, is it that big of a deal?
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about, dumb in love. If he's like, babe, I don't have practice today, give me a magic marker, she could be like, no, go find something to do. Go get a snack,
But it's gonna be a word, like, I mean, think about it. Any Swifties who are mad about this, to me, I mean, listen, I wish them all the best, but statistically we know that people who are in these high profile positions, they don't do that well in love. So 60 years from now, when they actually maybe aren't together again anymore, this will be worth a lot of money.
I think
maybe
it's worth a lot now.
Long game.
But it's worth a lot now,
Sure.
no?
It's gonna be worth even more if it ends up ending. Anyways.
Can I just say, for someone who's bad at love, she's had 13 #1 hits now
Correct.
being bad at love, so
Well,
I don't
correct.
think it's so bad.
You're
Yeah,
right.
it's- we get great art out of it,
Yeah.
whichever way it goes.
She's in her overcompensating era.
Okay,
Wow.
after the break, everybody, we're done trashing Taylor. Don't worry, it's done now.
I never did, just
Correct.
for the record.
You did not. For the record.
Don't let me in. I didn't do it. I didn't do
Right.
it. I would never.
Thank
I would
you.
never. All right.
Yes. Please direct your tweets at Elvira and Cynthia. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't want the Swifties coming for me.
No,
either.
no.
Okay.
They're lovely. They're lovely.
I can handle it.
I can't
totally
protect
kidding.
you, so.
So writer and host of CBC's Commotion, Elamine Abdelmahmoud, is still with us right now. And Elamine, in response to all of that wild Trump annexation talk and threat, and also our country's worsening relationship with the U.S., you actually edited a new collection of essays, and it is called Elbows Up, Canadian Voices of Resilience and Resistance. So why do you think that this was the necessary response right now?
Honestly, it kind of felt a bit disorienting to watch all those threats that they were coming in. You just kept on saying it, 51st state, 51st state, 51st state. And that book didn't start with me. It started with sort of the editor, the publisher, McClellan Stewart, Stephanie Sinclair, and someone who runs the Vancouver Writers Festival, Leslie Herting. And they were having a conversation about how there was once a time where you could ask Canadian writers, and say, like, what is your response to all of these things that are happening? There's this other anthology that was published in 1968, and you've got some of the greats in there. Like, you have Farley Moat in there, you have Margaret Atwood in there, you have Margaret Lawrence in there, and they're all, sharing their opinions about the United States, and some of those people thought we were cooked. We were completely done for. There's going to be a time when the United States basically takes over Canada, Like, you hear Mordecai Richler being like, there's no difference between America and Canada anyway. And we're all being a bit dramatic. I know. And so that, to me, like, that moment of this 51st state stuff was another invitation, another, hey, what do we make of this? What do the best of the best that we have to offer right now? How are they processing these annexation threats? And basically, that's how this book came together. And let me tell you something about books. They don't come together that quickly.
Yeah.
This book was conceived in March, and it is here now.
Wow.
Like, it moved very quickly. Yeah.
Wow. But it's interesting you bring up the historical context, because we seem to be asking ourselves the same questions that we've been asking for decades.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be Canadian, and who are we in relation to the U.S.? Who are we without them? If the questions are the same, do you think we're better positioned to finally answer them today?
I think the best thing we could do is not come up with new answers, but come up with better questions. I think every generation tends to come up with better questions about our identity, about the things that we should be caring about.
Yeah.
To me, like, one of my favorite lines in there is in Cara Loft's piece. She says, Canada doesn't need an identity, it needs a shrink, And there's fighting words from Cara Loft, but also there's a real truth to that. This idea of, like, we keep obsessing over this notion of, like, what is our identity? What is our identity? What is our identity? When in fact, we share these values, and we share this land, and we share this space, and we know who we are. And it's time to fight for that, and sort of be deliberate about, like, expressing what that is.
Well, this collection assembled such an impressive group of contributors. You've got everyone from Margaret Atwood, who you mentioned earlier, Jay Baruchel, Jesse Wente, Ian Reid, and many others. And so after editing and reading through all of these contributions, was there any pattern or commonality that really struck you?
I think, to me, the tone, like, the tone that runs over the entire collection is defiant, sometimes angry, and then sometimes also like just asking us to say, hey, we've been concerning ourselves with the United States for so long that maybe we stopped asking ourselves certain questions, you know? And it's time for us to sort of like return and turn inward and say, what are the things that we care about? What are the things that we are concerned about? And so, and also, just like on an editing note, try to send an editorial note to Margaret Atwood, buddy. Like,
I
it's
wouldn't.
no.
No.
Neither would I, for that matter. Yeah.
She's perfection. We just don't touch.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you get the piece and go, thank you, Margaret.
That's right.
It's perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, in this talk of annexation, I think for a lot of people, this discussion has really revolved around economic sovereignty. So how do we as Canadians protect our own resources, strike deals with other countries, create better, bigger alliances with others? Yeah. But in this book of essays, you also explored the idea of cultural sovereignty. So how has our identity changed or been impacted by this whole annexation talk?
I think one of my favorite pieces in the book is from the actor and director Jay Baruchel. You know, and what Jay Baruchel does is kind of trace very meticulously the history of how we kind of gave up our sovereignty when it comes to film, right? And so now you see this all the time. Like every movie in the United States is shot here. You know, at a certain point you kind of go like, I know that's not California. I know that's Vancouver. Stop lying to me. But there's something about it's come at a cost. It's come at a cost of, if we make all of these great world-class movies here, how much time are we spending making our movies and our stories? And stories that have to do with people who live here and are based here, you know? And so when we talk about cultural sovereignty, like to me, like that's a part of the discussion. Like I think book industry, for example, I think like the Canadian literary tradition, very specific, very real. You know, we're really good at books. We've ceded some ground when it comes to film. We've ceded some ground when it comes to television.
It's on us too, though, because we have to be consuming more of that as well. We need to be interested in our own stories.
Tell me about it.
I'm curious. You've been talking about this idea about about what a Canadian identity is, and as you've been putting this book together, did you get any closer to an idea of your own when it comes to what this country is and our identity?
I was born in Sudan. I wasn't born here. I moved to Canada when I was 12 years old. And so to me, my relationship with the Canadian identity has been this thing that I've been absorbing my entire life. I assume I'll be absorbing it until I die. Like there's something about coming to this place and then being open to saying, a bunch of people saying, this is my version of Canada. This is my version of Canada. And then for me, from my perspective, I've been in this country for 25 years now. And what I've eventually come to realize is that's all there is people coming up to you and saying, this is my idea of Canada. And, you know, Tom Power, my fellow CBC host, his piece in there talks about how he grew up with a much stronger Newfoundland identity, for example, than he did a larger kind of Canadian identity. All there is this beautiful kind of patchwork, this beautiful quilt of what it means to live in this place. And I think, like, what we need is more of those, you know?
Last question, Elamine. Kind of the theme of the show, which we started with, is how difficulty may lead to opportunity. Do you see opportunity for Canada right now?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think I do. I think being deliberate about who we are, being deliberate about like what we want to express, what we want to share with the world. I think like this is a moment to define that, to get really good at it, and sort of to put our, you know, A-line forward. And I think we're doing that. So yeah.
And you're helping. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course. Thanks for having me.
And for this, the book is called Elbows Up. You can find it in stores everywhere. Everyone's doing it.
Subscribe to The Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.